This is the Spurs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, throw the San Antonio Spurs team in every sort of environment, they found a way to get out of it. Throw this San Antonio Spurs team every single different looking challenge, and they find a way to beat it. And throw this San Antonio Spurs team, one of the most physical basketball teams in recent memory, just known for being mean at the end of the day. And the San Antonio Spurs find an answer for it like they did tonight. Welcome into the Spurs POSTCAST right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Of course, the #1 sports podcast network in the land, talking about a big-time San Antonio Spurs victory this evening in Detroit against the league-leading Pistons, a 114-103 victory on national television in a classic all-out rock fight, if you will. The officials let them play, and as a result, it got fun. It got interesting. He, of course, is NBA champion Devin Brown. I'm Casey Viera. Last time we were talking about a notable Spurs-Pistons game, my friend. You were involved, and it turned out pretty good. End of the night, an NBA champion. They don't end the night's NBA champions tonight, but pretty good feeling nonetheless.
Yes, sir. We got a lot to talk about, Casey. Let's get into it. But I'll tell you what, Spurs grew up tonight.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Yeah, and as we know, an 8-game win streak coming into this thing, perfect on the rodeo road trip so far, 4-0. But Detroit, every accolade that you could possibly give them right now, deservedly so. 43-12. They were actually in the middle of a stretch right now where they have a homestand between the Spurs, Oklahoma City, and Cleveland. And then Cleveland and the Spurs on the road in less than a week. So there's some pivotal basketball, some show me something type basketball that was going on the Pistons side of things as well. And on the Detroit aspect of it, though, they didn't come out looking like they had they were ready to prove anything, because the Spurs opened the game on a 14-2 run, and things kind of level out because of all those things, the physicality, the muscle, and part of the reason, again, why they played as well as they had, as Detroit has. They go up 27-24 after the first quarter of play. The second quarter, and we'll dive into this back in a little bit more. Victor, awful shooting first half. De'Aaron Fox, awful shooting first half. Somewhere the Spurs had to generate some sort of offense in the second quarter, and they did. Devin Vassell, Julian Champagnie combined for 30 points. Collectively, the team as a whole, they go 11 of 23 from three in the first half and ultimately carry a 2-point lead into the halftime break, subsequently into the third quarter. And then we see San Antonio turn up the defense to 11 a little bit, because they hold Detroit to 7 of 22 in the third quarter of play to ultimately balloon that lead, crack double digits by the time it hits the fourth. Fourth quarter, Pistons, understandably so, they were going to make their runs, and they did. And they got within 9 a couple of times. But some big-time blocks for Victor Wembanyama. He had 3 in the fourth quarter, and some big-time buckets, just pure shot making. Devin Vassell again, Champagnie again, Keldon Johnson, 3 consecutive threes in the closing few minutes that essentially put the game away. Math reads to a successful night for the Spurs, 114-103. Wemby grinds his way to 21, 17, and 6 blocks. Devin Vassell, the high man, he has 28, 7 of 11 from 3. De'Aaron Fox, 10 points, 7 boards, 7 assists, 4 of 17 shooting. The numbers on Cade Cunningham, this is the notable one. 16 points, 5 of 26 they hold him to from the field. Massive win collectively all the way around as they move to 41-16. A massive show me something, and we're running out of ways to, believe how the Spurs are not going to win big. Something's going to hold them back, and this is just another one of those growing moments for the better again tonight.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying about the Spurs and finding a way to win and finding a way in tough environments. And this is probably the toughest. #1 in the East, Detroit is. And, San Antonio went in there and got off to a great start. Devin Vassell hitting the first 3 of the game. And, when you talk about that second quarter and the things that Detroit tried to do, San Antonio just stayed with what it is that they were doing, stayed together, continued to move the basketball. And I think what opened it up in the third and fourth quarter was the fact that Vassell and Juju were hitting their
Mhm.
outside shots. Wemby chipping in at times, Fox doing the same thing. But Casey, it was big because in that second half, now the Spurs were able to regroup, having a 2-point lead. And then I think they just decided that they knew that they needed to play their type of basketball, and
Mhm.
Detroit had to chase them instead of it being the other way around. Hence, we saw them get a lead, and Detroit played catch up all night. They have a fantastic group, on that side, and we'll see them here, in the next month or so. But as for tonight, I think San Antonio answered the challenge um, of playing in a tough environment. And, during this 8-game streak, they've got criticized for the opponents they played. Well, tonight on national TV, they stepped up and got the job done.
Yeah, Pistons shoot 38% from the field, 7 of 36 from three. So mental math tells me that's less than 20% from three. They scored 21 points off 16 Piston turnovers. That was an aspect of it as well. So much to like about something like this. Because what has been the overwhelming fear for a lot of people when it comes to the playoffs and the games slow down and you face a physical team, it's Victor getting knocked down, Victor getting beat up, and all those things happened tonight. He got clobbered in that first half. These national TV games, every time they see a physical team and Victor on standby, they have the packages ready to go, right?
They're ready to go, Casey. Yes,
and they're ready to go. And against a team like a Detroit, it takes about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes in real time to put it all together. But you saw this a lot in the Houston game a couple weeks ago in Houston, the one that the Spurs won, was that they played physical in that same exact fashion that they did against Victor. And a lot of the times prior to that, it was Victor just kind of like, oh, dust myself off, keep going, just kind of go through the motions, not exactly look like winded or taken back, but not look like he took it personal, not necessarily get mad or fired up or something like that. That's kind of, I guess, the basic way of what I'm trying to get at. But like you saw in the Houston game where he went off in the fourth quarter on so many, where he outscored the Pistons or the Rockets in that game in that fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. And then you saw it again tonight, but not on the offensive side, on the defensive side. Those three block shots, it felt like he had 6, but it felt like 16 the way he was doing things. You love that aspect of Victor being able to do that, because that is the type of thing we've been hearing, and some of it deserves skepticism along the way of whether or not that will hold them back in the playoffs. Victor's ability to adapt, Victor's ability to dust himself off in these type of situations, be aggressive, be physical back. You're not bigger and stronger than Jalen Duren, but you know what? Find another way to impact the game and get the better of him. Duren got some blows in on Victor tonight, literally and figuratively. Jalen Duren, he had 25 and 14. He's a big boy. We were talking, he reminds us of Kevin Willis back in the day, But point being, the overriding point that we're going at and that I loved was that this was a show me something game from Victor, and he showed up, not necessarily on the offensive front, not necessarily from the numbers front, but from a physicality, aura aspect of, if you will, establishing your presence. This is awesome stuff from Wemby tonight.
Well, yeah, because I love what you're talking about, and what it was is, Victor at key times of the game, Spurs being up 6, Spurs being up 8, being there as a presence, altering a shot, Detroit having to go with a higher floater or, not be able to get an offensive rebound. So, yeah, Victor didn't throw the 30 and whatever at you and things like that. But just his presence out there, the common effect that he had on his teammates was huge for the Spurs tonight. And I'll tell you what, I hadn't seen Detroit or Cade Cunningham play a whole lot of basketball, but he is a physical guard, and he picked up his second foul, giving Victor an elbow on the cut. So when you talk about the shots that Victor took tonight, for him to be able to bounce back, all right, and next play, what are we going to do, this and that, it was a different Victor tonight, and that's what you love to see, because, yes, I don't know if there's another basketball team as physical as the Detroit Pistons. They showed it tonight, but Victor and the Spurs were able to rally past that and get a huge win.
And I'm glad you brought up the Cade Cunningham foul, because the turning point tonight happened in the second quarter, ironically enough, off of a Cade Cunningham foul.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
more specifically his third personal foul.
Mhm.
And it comes of the offensive variety because Stephon Castle up in his business. Cade, for a guy who is MVP pursuit candidacy, valid candidacy of a pursuit, in my opinion, and he'll be the first to tell you can't make plays what he made in this situation. Castle right in his business, shoves him right to the ground. Both teams get in the way. Keldon picks up a tech. Duren picks a double tack up, picks a tack up, the double tacks, whatever, moving on. That's not necessarily the point I was getting at. The point that I was getting at was that it put him in foul trouble because early in the third quarter, I should say, he picked up his fourth foul. Early in the fourth quarter, he picks up his fifth foul. Now, largely, he did a good job of staying on the floor, but between the efforts of Castle getting in the way, between the efforts of really collective, but it needs, if you're not going to slow down Cade Cunningham 9 times out of 10, you're not.
Right.
But you can be an irritant. You can create trouble. You can get him off of his game. 5 of 26, he was off of his game because he had to play different. Like you said, a very physical guard. And when you can't be physical, that's a big aspect that he doesn't have going for him. And by all those things collectively as a whole, the foul trouble taking him out of his game, it really exposed Detroit tonight. And it really showed that if the Spurs are going to win big and maybe meet this team in the finals, who knows? Who knows? Never know. This is what they have to do, match that physicality, especially when it comes to, one of the best players in basketball, maybe even the MVP.
If there's anybody, that watches San Antonio, you learn tonight, and of course, a lot of us have already known how important Stephon Castle is to the San Antonio. Now, I know Victor gets a lot of the accolades, and they're well-deserved. Fox, same thing. But let me tell you something. The job that he did on Cade Cunningham in that first half, when someone open hands pushes you like that, you've gotten to them. All right. I've had one of the greats push me like that. That's when you know that you've got him. And I'll tell you what, Castle did a great job on him. And just put him on the list because Castle does that pretty much in all of his matchups. So great job by him tonight. Just playing Spurs defense.
Mm-hmm. They did. And I think that's the only way to describe it. And we're just learning so much more and more about this team every day and reasons to believe. I have been called a skeptic. I have been called the Debbie Downer of the two of us. I have been told that people want tune in like, man, Case, you're a buzzkill. Let them live. I don't being negative. I think I'm being real, right? No perfect, no product is perfect. And we talk about the flaws because we have to. As someone who has been accused of such, and listen, I will acknowledge that has been the case. I'm running out of ways to be skeptical, man. I'm just in a year that, and I think this is what has me believing too, more so than any other year. It feels like 2026, the league is wide open. It is wide open. There is no powerhouse on every single side to get in the way. So you pair what the Spurs are doing right now and the fact that there's so much parity. Why is it, crazy to say that this team isn't the title favorite right now or close to deep in that conversation, as good as any, maybe not the favorite, but can't be considered as good as anybody else is what I'm kind of going for.
Well, what helps is the fact that they can shoot the three so well. It helps that you have Wemby, and it helps that you play lockdown defense and you can get to the rim. I mean, what else do you need to do in order to be successful with basketball? The Spurs have covered all that with their roster. It's just that they have to continue to build the trust, and we saw that tonight. They look good tonight not just as the 5 that were on the floor. Anybody that stepped on the floor was huge. So when you continue to see that and you continue to see them getting better as the year goes on, that's why you start talking about a deep playoff run. So I get you on that. And that's one thing that I love about our showcases. We're going to be honest both ways. Whether they win, they lose, or indifference. Even in wins, we point out the flaws. So don't feel too bad.
I didn't say I felt bad.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say I'm not admitting. I'm admitting that that's the way I am, but guilt. I don't feel bad about that. I don't feel bad about that. I feel good about showing credit when it's due. And coming up on the other side, we're going to show credit where it's due, because for as much as we talk about the good things the players did, Devin really likes something about Mitch Johnson's decision making over there on the Spurs bench tonight. So we'll hit on that on the other side of the break right here on the Spurs postcast on Locked On Spurs. We're fired up tonight because this Spurs team, they keep doing new things, new ways to impress, and continue to show why they're legit. They belong. Before we get to all that on the other side, though, before we continue the good vibes, or I guess keep up the good vibes, I guess you could say, we talk about a few of our friends who help in driving this program. And it was a very good night if you've listened to the show and you already know what's going on Prize Picks, because you shoot your shot, you get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup, making every dunk, every dime, every board that much more exciting. It's simple. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you touched Wemby and Cade tonight, you were probably a little all over the place. So I hope you didn't exactly do it there. But everything, if you wanted to do something like tonight, or hockey or baseball, whatever it may be, if you're anything like me, you're cautious and you want the early payouts and the flex pay, you can check out of there early too. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code Locked On NBA. It gets you $50 in lineups after you play your first 5. Locked On NBA for $50 in lineups after you play your first 5 with Prize Picks. It is good to be right. It's also good to have a hand in FanDuel. If you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person, and I'll tell you what, this ad read has become increasingly more and more valid the way the weeks have gone on with this Spurs team, because FanDuel right now, they're giving you a chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2 with everything. Flights, tickets, hotel, everything. So visit FanDuel.com. It gets you started, and use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the finals come June. Play your game with FanDuel, as you know, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And finally, our favorite time of the year, right around the corner. Yes, NBA Finals, but also tax season. You got to get it done, right? With TurboTax's full service, however, they're going to get all the stressful parts, many of stressful parts out of the way for you. How do they do that? Well, they're going to set you up with a trusted local expert, start to finish. No stress, no guesswork, and they can help you with every single aspect of it. W-2s, just making sure you get all the deductions back on the right side of things. So for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if that expert did not file for you last year. And you got to hurry up, because this all needs to be done by February 28th. Get on top of it and take taxes off your plate. Get back to your life. TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. We keep finding ways to call the Spurs win the biggest win of the season. So why not throw, why not throw another one under that category tonight, going into Detroit and taking care of the league leading Detroit Pistons. Talked about all the good things that the players did. Many of you were really impressed tonight with Mitch Johnson.
Yeah, Mitch Johnson and his staff, Sean Sweeney, Corliss Williamson, Sean King. I want to give them a shout out because in the second quarter, Detroit started playing Detroit basketball, really mixing things up, throwing some of the Spurs to the floor, things like that. There's a timeout called, and I don't need audio. I don't need visual. I know what was said in that timeout. They brought them together and they said, continue to play the way we play and you'll be all right. You're doing fine. Let's just keep playing basketball. And the Spurs did that. So to answer the bell in that arena against that opponent, I give the coaching staff a lot of credit. A lot of credit for holding that team together. And Casey, I was completely impressed with Mitch's substitution patterns. Guys that did not have it, he did not play them. So congratulations to him and his staff. They called a wonderful game tonight.
Yeah, let's talk about Mitch a little bit more, because we focus so much when it comes to players developing, changing, getting better, regressing, whatever it may be, throughout an entire season. And very often, the only time we really talk about the coach is when they're doing something wrong, right?
Right.
What have you seen with Mitch Johnson, for the better or worse, that maybe we've not been seeing or did not see at the start of the year with Mitch Johnson back in October, November?
Well, number one, we see Stephon Castle at times offensively, not defensively, offensively, get a little over aggressive.
Mhm.
1-on-3, one on. They haven't changed that. He continues to do that. Now he's starting to mix in finding his teammates and attacking. That's an adjustment. All right,
Mhm.
that comes straight from the staff. Um, De'Aaron Fox is able to play his game. They don't ask him to do too much because there's a lot of them around him. That's huge on the coaching staff. Wemby, they allow Wemby to play his basketball game. We've seen him sometimes. He can get a little careless with the basketball. But the biggest thing, that they do is they are well prepared and they have the players well prepared every single basketball game. I don't know if I can't think of a lot of games where the Spurs just get their doors blown off by 25 or 30, meaning they weren't prepared for that night. So that's a big credit to what the coaching staff is doing as far as the players are actually paying attention every single day.
I'm thinking about it. I mean, the Phoenix game early in the year,
Mm-hmm.
the Utah game after Christmas when they beat up on the Thunder, that was a bad one. New Orleans after they went down 20. I mean, I know that was a competitive game at the end, but after that, I'm having a hard time coming up with one that they were like felt like it was just collectively a blown out start to finish. I'm having a hard time thinking of one.
Yeah. So
Maybe the OKC game, the fourth meeting,
yeah.
maybe.
Let
So
me
what?
just tell you this.
Four?
Let me tell you this. I was with a Nuggets team. We would get down 4 in the first quarter, and all the coaches, not the head coach, the assistant coaches were looking there during the timeout. They were like, "Here we go again. We're getting ready to get our beep kicked again." And you're like, "Wow, relax." So to have a coaching staff like this is much different.
Those were the times.
Those were the times.
Those were the times. And you turned out
McNichols Arena,
okay.
baby, old school.
Hey, it didn't kill your morale because you turned in a productive career.
I did.
You hung around a little bit. Hey, our player of the game tonight is going to be hanging around quite a bit longer if he keeps doing things like he did.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Devin Vassell, probably the best game. Yeah, you know what? Probably his best game of the season, certainly since he came back from injury a couple weeks ago with those 28 points. And check this one out. They mentioned on the broadcast, it's his fourth game with 7+ 3-pointers made. He is the second Spur all time to do that after Manu Ginobili. They said it on the broadcast. They didn't say who was number one on that list. He tied Manu Ginobili. But point being, Devin Vassell is doing a lot of real good things right now.
And you don't want to know the craziest thing, Casey, is
No.
the first 3 that he hit of the game came off of a broken play.
Mm-hmm.
And he just had it going after. It wasn't drawn up for him. It was late in the shot clock. He fires it up. He makes it. And then from there, he was the best player. Well, the best Spur player on the floor tonight. He really deserves this reward. Way to shoot it, young fella. But I'll tell you what, moving forward, he's got to do this more. And they got to run plays for him. When he hits 2 or 3 in a row, run a play for him. Wemby will be all right. Fox will be all right. Run a play for him. See if he can hit that 5th in a row. But big game tonight out of him.
Yeah, big game by Vassell, big game out of Victor, and just a big win all the way around for their 9th consecutive victory. That's their longest win streak of the season, and 5-0 on the rodeo road trip. Next on deck, they got a back-to-back stretch of 3 games and 4 nights. Starting, tonight would be first of 3 and 4 nights. They're going across the border: Toronto, Brooklyn, Knicks over the weekend, and then Philly. That's the last 4 that make up this rodeo road trip. And of course, Devin and I will be there after every game on the Spurs postcast right here on Locked On Spurs. Of course, Jeff Garcia got you covered every single morning, bright and early on the title pod. And you're going to want to come back around this time tomorrow night, 9:15, because that's when we have our Spurs squad show. The 3 of us, we all get together. And for as good as we're feeling tonight, not everything was all good in Devin Brown's book. And so we have to open up a bigger forum for him. We're saving it for tomorrow night if you want some glass half empty. Some, we talked about being level on both sides.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to get back level on both sides. Spurs taking care of their side, to say the least, tonight. A big win in Detroit, 114-103 over the Detroit Pistons. And they keep showing reasons why. There's plenty of reasons to believe. Shout out to you guys. You're the everydayers. You're the ones that make this possible. Push 700 viewers tonight in real time.
Nice.
Didn't get there. Maybe next time. But that is just about, I think, as right up there as we've been. So shout out to you guys. You're the ones who, drive this, make this fun, especially coming off wins like tonight. So for my good buddy, Mr. NBA champion, Devin Brown, I'm Casey Viera. Spurs winners tonight. You enjoy the rest of your Monday evening as well.